Our top story then, on day 2 of his visit to Russia. China's president has said his country is set to prioritise ties with Russia. Xi Jinping, who began talks with President Vladimir Putin on Monday, called the two nations great neighbouring powers. Well, Ukraine is unsurprisingly topping the agenda of talks between Xi and Putin. Xi said he'd also invited Putin to visit China later this year. Well, Putin saying that he'd held a new round of meaningful and frank talks with his Chinese counterpart. Let's get you some analysis on the importance or not of this meeting. I'm joined here in the studio by our International Affairs Editor, Angela Diffley. Angela, if you will, talk us through how much this meeting actually matters to President Putin, for example.
It matters a great deal, certainly in terms of optics and symbolism. Just last week, an international arrest warrant was put out by the International Criminal Court. He now cannot visit 123 countries in the world because he might be arrested. So this visit from one of the world's two most important leaders is an important morale boost for Putin. And we've already heard that Xi has invited Putin to visit China later this year as part of a Belt and Road Initiative forum. So Putin, who has travelled very little since the invasion of Ukraine, is likely to go to that. So it's a big statement that these two are, as we heard before the Ukraine invasion, involved in a no-limits partnership. In reality, of course, there are limits. There are very significant limits. Russia is the junior partner in this relationship. It is increasingly dependent on China. China is supplying it with computer chips, and that has made an enormous difference because after sanctions, its usual supply routes of computer chips were ended. And Russia is supplying China with oil, which powers the enormous Chinese economy. So they are both important to each other. It's clear as well that China has not condemned the invasion of Ukraine at all and has suggested that NATO's eastward expansion was something of a provocation. But nevertheless, China has not clearly come out on the side of either and is trying to maintain a neutral position while clearly being keen not to make Putin a pariah.
You spoke, Angela, about symbolism and optics. What in terms of concrete takeaways can we expect from this meeting between President Xi and Putin?
Yeah, they are to discuss this Chinese 12-point peace plan. We heard the early bits of it last month, and it was immediately dismissed by the Ukrainians, who said that Xi had not even spoken to Zelensky. Worth noting that after this visit, Xi Jinping is going to talk to Zelensky about this plan. That is important. We don't know much about what's in it, but that will be key to what they are discussing today. What the West is looking for is any sign that China intends to supply weapons to Putin, because until now, that has been a red line. China has not done that. And the West is really watching to see if it begins to supply serious weapons to Putin. That would change the course of the war. That would be major. China might decide just to maintain the status quo. It might choose to supply serious weapons, or it might tell Putin to start rethinking his invasion of Ukraine and where it is leading, and it might be trying to help him draw back. We don't know yet. That is the key thing today. Otherwise, in terms of economics, there are very important economic ties between the two of them. There is likely to be an announcement on the Power of Siberia 2 gas pipeline, which would reroute gas which is going to Europe towards Asia. That has been something that's been worked on for quite a time, and there is some expectation that there might be an announcement. They are very near being clear on how that will work and the logistics of all of that. So it's likely we'll have an announcement on that as well. Otherwise, Putin has said Chinese businesses are very welcome to come to Russia and replace those Western businesses that left after the invasion.
All right, Angela Diffley with analysis on day 2 of those meetings between Xi and President Putin. Thank you.